Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to give an article titled, Men Are Selfish and Will Always Choose Themselves. And this article obviously is written by a woman, and she's pissed off, and in her view, that basically all men are selfish and obviously put themselves first, unlike women in her view are perfect angels and always put themselves last, okay? Now, I find this funny on so many different levels, guys, because first of all, by and large, most guys fall under the category of nice guy. You got extreme cases of guys are so nice that they're always being friend zoned and taken advantage of and all that, to guys that are a little bit more in the middle, you know, not totally extremely nice, but also they're certainly not the bad boys. And yet, from her perspective, all guys are like this. And let me tell you something, guys. The guys that she's describing here that are selfish and put themselves first, the type of guys that do that are the bad boys. As I've told you a lot of times before in the videos, bad boys always do what they want first. And they always put their needs first and other people's needs last, especially women. And last time I checked, women just tend to be attracted to bad boys. So I'm guessing here the type of guys that she goes for, the bad boys, this is what she thinks that all men are like, which is complete nonsense. And here's another thing, guys. Am I to believe that in 2021, that is she trying to say that all women are selfless and put themselves last? Because that's the biggest bunch of nonsense ever. If we're ever in an era where women are more selfish than ever and put themselves first and don't give a crap about anybody else, it's now. Especially after decades of the feminist movement influencing the masses and women being bombarded by attention and validation from guys on social media and dating apps. In today's world, they're more entitled and narcissistic than ever. And that's just the average looking ones. The really good looking ones, the egos go to the stratospheres. So this idea that we're the bad guys and they're all bending over backwards for guys and putting themselves last. Come on here, you know. And I might add, it sounds like she's it almost sounds like she wants the guys to behave in a way that nice guys do, right? But as I've told you before, women don't know what they want. They don't know what they emotionally respond to. So she's trying to say she wants guys to be nice and selfless and all that. Well, guess what? Those guys are the nice guys, and they get friend zone. So this whole thing is just completely warped. But I'm going to go into this more, guys. I'm going to pick it apart, call out her BS wherever it is, and there's a lot of it here, and we'll go from there. So it starts off, a reminder not to lose yourself in a relationship. We have made many strides as a society when it comes to feminism. Really? Many strides when it comes to feminism? Are you kidding me? Look how things are today. The divorce rate is higher than ever. Birth rates continue to drop every single year. Less and less people are getting married. The nuclear family is being destroyed more and more. More single moms than ever. And as a result of the single moms with the boys, there's definitely issues with the kids more than ever. Yeah, you tell me how the great strides have come thanks to that. She says, and it's holding men more accountable and reorientation of how both sexes should relate with one another. How they should relate to one another. Who says how they should relate to one another? However, it seems some things are yet to change. From a candid standpoint, women still bend themselves backwards for their partners for the most part. The only time women will bend themselves backwards nowadays is if they perceive the guy as a catch, or he is the bad boy that they're hot for. Then they'll bend over backwards and do anything for them. They'll bend in ways you can't even imagine for them. But for your average nice guy, not a chance. Not in 2021, no way, no how. She says, not only does this pressure come from within us, but it's also encouraged by the wider society. Women are told that they are responsible for keeping their men. We are told to endure, to do everything possible to make compromises, not to be too picky, too demanding, and to persevere against all odds. Well, maybe they're being told not to be too picky and too demanding is because, guess what? Nowadays, women are more picky than ever, and we all know this, guys. I mean, how many articles and stories have I done that demonstrate just that? How many women nowadays complain, where are all the good men? There are no good men out there. Meanwhile, there's an endless supply of good guys out there, and these are the same women that they could be in their 30s and 40s, and they're upset because they don't have a man, that they don't have a ring on their finger, they don't have a family. Meanwhile, they had countless opportunities. So yeah, they're being told not to be too picky because your average girl nowadays who's, let's just say actually above average in the looks department, she has a list, an unrealistic list that goes a mile long. And not to mention the old, we want a guy that's 6 feet tall, 6-figure income, 6-pack, 6 inches plus down south. You add that all up, what percentage of guys in this world actually have all those qualities, let alone half of those, right? So that's why you're being told not to be too picky and too demanding. Society rewards this behavior. The idea that a real woman is one who is ride or die, even at the expense of their own happiness. And it's not just society that does this. It also seems like we as women have a propensity to give our all to the ones we love. We love to nurture and serve. Well, nurturing is a part of feminine energy. And guess what? Guys like women that are feminine. But unfortunately, in today's world, you got more women out there that behave like dudes than ever before. Men are not attracted to masculine women. The only guys that are attracted to masculine women are feminine guys, okay? Probably because their mom was masculine, and that's just what they're used to, you know? But by and large, no guy wants to be on a date or hooking up with a girl that acts just as much of a dude as he does. It's a complete and total turnoff. She goes on, and it's easy for us to get completely lost in our partners, sometimes to our own detriment. Now she's going to make a list because, well, women love to make lists. Number 1, men show up for themselves. Women should do it too. Again, guess what? Women have been showing up for themselves for a while now. They put themselves first above everything nowadays, and we all know it. She says, I can't count the number of times I've heard guys make the statements like, I don't want to date a woman who doesn't give me a peace of mind. Or if a woman cheats on me, that's the end of our relationship. And if the relationship isn't working, it's best to go our separate ways. And they mean what they say because at the slightest, men zone out and move on from what doesn't serve them. Okay, let's review. She said about guys wanting peace of mind. Yeah, we want a drama-free relationship. We don't want all this bullshit. Okay, so that's a bad thing that we don't want drama and turmoil. But as I've told you before, all women love drama. Some love a little, some love a whole lot, but they all love it. Okay, keeps things interesting for them. Or she says, if a woman cheats on me, that's the end of our relationship. Well, duh, what guy in his right mind is going to stay with a woman that cheats on him? Is she going to respect him if he stays with her after that? No way. She'll treat him worse than before, and she'll do it again. So, of course, we're going to be done with a relationship if a girl cheats. Or she says, if the relationship isn't working, it's best to go our separate ways. Another no-brainer. If there's no attraction there, if there's no chemistry anymore, if things aren't working, if you've changed as people, why the hell would you stick around? Move on. If you want to be in relationships, end up being with a guy that you have something that you click with, or guys end up being with a girl that you click with. Not just drag it out, even though there's nothing there, just to, stay in it, nonsense. She says, women, on the other hand, have a tendency to stay longer in bad situations. Take back a cheating partner and hold on to a dead relationship. Men are quick to move on. Women hang on for much longer. Well, the reason a lot tend to stay in bad situations where there's a lot of turmoil going on is because, again, women are attracted to drama. And in a situation like that where there's obviously turmoil and bad situations, or if a guy cheats, guess what? Usually those types are the bad boys, and they love the bad boys, okay, because they keep them on their toes. There's turmoil. Guy's unpredictable. Years ago, this movie came out called My Best Friend's Girl with this actor and comedian named Dane Cook. And in that movie, he has a side job where he gets hired by guys whose girlfriends dump them. And he takes these women out on the worst dates they've ever had. And he treats them so bad that they go crawling back to their exes who they just dumped. Okay, and he gets paid for this. And it's a hilarious movie. And this line he says in the movie is, to make them run, I make them think I'm shit. To make them come, I make them think they're shit. In other words, he acts so badly, turns them off, and they go back to their exes. But if he wants to attract them, he makes them think they're shit. Okay? This is what bad boys do by not returning the phone calls, not returning the texts, cheating on them, blowing them off for somebody else at the last minute. All these other things. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying these things happen and makes them feel like shit. And interestingly, how many women are attracted to these types? So don't make it out to be that it's our problem. We're the bad guys because we will end it with a cheater or ditch a situation where there's turmoil when a lot of women will stay in the situation. It's because that's how their warped brains are, okay? Again, I didn't design women, okay? And don't blame me for calling it as it is, but how many guys know this? Guys that treat women really well and put them on a pedestal get treated like crap. The guys that treat them like crap, they get the women. It's nuts, but that's how it is. And there is probably not a guy watching this here right now, wherever you are in the world, that hasn't had this happen to you, or you haven't observed this from some other perspective. She goes on, of course, I understand that men and women are different in disposition to a certain extent, but parts of their behavior are influenced by conditioning. As a research paper points out, that through many studies have shown that women are more expressive with their emotions than men. Each gender still possesses stereotypical behaviors that have been instilled in them from the wider culture since childhood. Well, duh, of course women are more emotional than men. That's just how they're wired, and express it more. That's how they operate. If society instills in women that they have to endure more, and men are taught from childhood that they shouldn't have to take the nagging from women, then perhaps it leaves a little room to doubt the point I've been making all along. Well, of course, men aren't going to want to deal with the nagging from women, because why should we? It's a pain in the ass. We got better things to deal with. And guess what? Women nag. Okay? They nag about guys not doing this, not doing that, when guess what? We're going to get it done in our own time frame. So leave us alone and stop nagging. She says women can take a few tips from men in this regard, but not enduring what goes on against their needs, reasonable expectations, and inner values. If part of our behavior is conditioned, we can learn to unlearn and recondition our minds to higher things. Number 2, never forget your partner is human. Yeah, that's a good message to the female population, especially how many treat guys nowadays. She says, getting lost in our partners also means that we have to have a record of putting the cart before the horse. What do I mean by this? I mean that we romanticize our partners almost like some Disney fairy tale. So many people think that life is a Disney movie or a Hallmark movie. It's not. Movies and television are bullshit. And a lot of you guys even think that. And you got to get that out of your head, the bad programming that you've had since you were kids. She says, now I'm not saying we shouldn't love our partners, adore them, and give them our best in relationships. Rather, I'm saying we should learn to humanize our partners. They aren't Prince Charming and cannot live up to those expectations. You might want to say that a little louder, honey, because a lot of the female population doesn't quite understand that. They expect Prince Charming. And of course, if Prince Charming behaves like Prince Charming, then they ditch him for Captain Hook or whoever is the bad guy. For there is a chance that not even the best men can hurt you, because he is human. No matter how beautiful, smart, kind, and amazing you think you are, it doesn't exempt you from the possibility of getting hurt. Research from the European Journal of Social Psychology showed that women who believed that by virtue of their gender they would always be treated like a queen in their relationships reported higher relationship dissatisfaction, as opposed to those women who had a more realistic view of things. The researchers call this, wait for it, benevolent sexism. In other words, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. If a guy treats a woman like crap, then he's the bad guy. If a guy puts her on a pedestal and treats her like the queen, then he's doing what they call benevolent sexism. And again, the bad guy. You see how crazy today's world is? She says, by all means, trust your partner and believe the best of them until proven wrong. Because I cannot imagine a life filled with constant suspicion and worry about what might be. However, we should reserve some of our emotions to ourselves, just as a contingency plan. And you do this by not being emotionally unavailable, but by reminding yourself every now and then that your partner is human and is prone to make mistakes and may change his mind. Yes, we do make mistakes and change our mind, and understand that. Number 3, give yourself security. There is a growing trend where having children for a man outside of a marriage is becoming normalized. Call me old-fashioned, but I don't see how this benefits women in the long run. The reality is that as women, we automatically take the responsibility as the primary caregiver, and a man can decide to deny his responsibilities with little to no consequences. Yeah, I call bullshit there, because believe me, the courts will be coming after a guy. If the child is indeed his, the courts are coming after you, and you're going to have to pay. So don't give me that shit. Committed relationship, like marriage, where contracts are drawn and families coming together, give women more security against being abandoned or left alone to fend for the child. Yes, divorce happens, but still, the odds are more in favor when there is a public declaration of commitment. Translation, girls try to get the guy to marry you. That way, you can have more guarantees. But we all know statistically how things work out in marriage nowadays. She says stories about women who get pregnant for their partner in hopes that it will marry them once they have a child. Some men even convince their partners to have babies for them while selling them pipe dreams. Not many men have the decency to marry a girl if she gets pregnant for him these days. Well, you're out of your mind if you just marry a girl just because she got pregnant, okay? And first of all, you make sure that's your baby. It's called a paternity test. But if that's a situation, she gets pregnant and it is indeed your child, obviously you're going to have to take care of that child, obviously legally, and it's the right thing to do in my opinion. But that doesn't mean you should go marry her even though you have nothing in common, no interest, no love there. That's stupid. That's our grandparents' generation. And you saw how happy a lot of them were, okay? So you can provide for that child if indeed that's your child, but don't go get married to her because that's just going to make things even worse, okay? Some people may disagree with me, and that's your business, but I think that's crazy to do that. She says, so we need to be smart. Life already gives women the short end of the stick. Yeah, sure. In 2021, life is giving women the short end of the stick. Bullshit. So we need to do everything possible to protect ourselves from further harm. Reserve some benefits for when you get married, if that's what you want. Don't give a man every single drop of yourself prematurely. Translation, don't give him your whole self and all the freaky stuff until you actually get a ring on your finger. She's telling her readers to basically hold back from her guy. Okay? And what happens statistically when people do get married and the honeymoon period's over? Does the sex increase? Does all the fun get better? No. It usually slows down or stops altogether. In conclusion, she says, don't get me wrong, love is a beautiful thing. We also need to remember that it is messy and can bring pain as well as joy. Nothing in life is easy. Everything has some level of stress to it. Well, you're not going to have a better situation if you then get married and it's miserable. That's going to be even more stress. Don't fall for this, guys. Tomorrow isn't promised, and neither are our relationships, jobs, finances, you name it. And so we always have to have some awareness of how transient life can be. Men and women need each other, but since women seem to always be on the losing end of things due to how our societies are set up, we need to be circumspect and not foolish. On the losing end of things, again, what world are you in? In 2021, no. If anybody has the deck stacked against them is on the losing end of things, is men nowadays. Get your money up, maintain grace and dignity, speak up when hurt, and show up for yourself. Every now and then, we need to bring our heads out from under the clouds and to see things as they are. Well, yeah, and this article, what she's saying, are not how things are. Okay, it's crazy that men are all selfish and put themselves last, put themselves first. No, most guys, like I said in the beginning, are nice guys. They don't behave in this way. I'm guessing she's attracted to the bad boys, and so in her view, that is how we all are. And that couldn't be any further from the truth. She says, what unrealistic cloud do you need to get out of your head? I'd love to read your responses and reflections in the comments. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to go over that. It's a quick article. But again, it goes to show you the mindset out there. Are you out of your mind? Most guys are not like what she's trying to say. And to be honest with you guys, I encourage you guys to be the types that put your needs first and put other people's needs last. Because guess what? Unfortunately, people are going to take advantage of you. And you got to do what's best for yourself, guys. And especially in terms of if you are into dating and relationships and all that. I know a lot of you guys have gone your own way and that's it. You're done with women for life. That's your business. Fine. But for others, for you other guys actually enjoy hooking up and occasionally getting together and all that. Or just your relationship, guys. If you go around being Mr. Nice Guy and putting her on the pedestal and putting all your needs last, that's nice guy behavior. Your ass is going to have a one-way ticket to the friend zone, mark my words. And if you don't believe me, keep putting the girl on the pedestal and acting that way and you'll see what happens, okay? So I encourage you guys always to put yourself first, your goals, your ambitions, all that stuff first. Women dead last, okay? And notice that the guys that always put women dead last tend to get the women. So do what they do. Anyhow, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.